From the birth of AI to AI winters. Alan Turing was probably the first one to conceive of the potential of AI in his paper Computing Machinery and Intelligence, published in 1950. But he didn't use the term AI because the term AI had not been coined at that stage. In fact, it was in 1955 that John McCarthy coined the term artificial intelligence when he, along with a number of colleagues, announced the possibility of a research a workshop looking into the possibility of AI. We propose a 2-month, 10-man study of artificial intelligence to be carried out during the summer of 1956 at Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. This study is to proceed on the basis of the conjecture that every aspect of learning or any other feature of intelligence can in principle be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it. An attempt will be made to find out how to make machines use language, form abstractions and concepts, solve kinds of problems now reserved for humans, and improve themselves. We think that a significant advance can be made in one or more of these problems if a carefully selected group of scientists work on it together for a summer. Maybe I could draw attention to some of the aspects of the language being used here. They refer here to learning and intelligence. And it's all to do with the possibility of simulating what the human mind itself can do. So they're speculating already that a machinery can learn, and there could be a form of intelligence that is a machine-based form of intelligence. John McCarthy, however, who coined the term, was never fully happy with the term. He'd come across it before, but he couldn't find out exactly where it was again, and he was never fully confident about it. The problem in many ways is the term artificial intelligence is itself very pejorative. Perhaps a much better way of describing it would be synthetic intelligence. After all, we have the term synthetic biology, and without the use of the term artificial. The founding figures, as it were, the founding fathers of AI, all went on to become highly significant within their particular domain. John McCarthy was the person who coined the term AI. Marvin Minsky became a central figure within MIT Media Lab, which of course is part of the School of Architecture in MIT. Claude Shannon was also a highly significant luminary in the figure, and so on. Here they are as young men on the lawn here at Dartmouth, and here they are later on in life. This is John McCarthy, and this is Marvin Minsky here, Claude Shannon here, and so on. In fact, arguably, the question really that they're trying to address was not necessarily so much about artificial intelligence, but intelligence itself. What I find interesting is the overlap between two different domains that we find looking into the same kind of question: AI research itself and also research going on in neuroscience. It's as though the key issue is simply intelligence. Geoffrey Hinton has a PhD in neuroscience and has now become one of the central figures in AI, in deep learning, in fact. And he comments, "I wanted to know how the brain worked." Meanwhile, Denis Hassabis, who is now the CEO of DeepMind in London, comments, "Our ambition in DeepMind is to build intelligent systems to help find solutions that can learn to solve any complex problem. Put another way, we want to use it to solve everything else." He doesn't refer to artificial intelligence, he refers to intelligent systems. This led me to the conclusion in my book that the quest for AI is the quest for intelligence itself. Now, the initial euphoria that accompanied the foundation of AI was soon to face a series of winters. These winters could be defined as periods in which confidence in the potential of AI collapsed on the part of venture capitalists and government funding agencies. These crises of confidence were triggered initially by reports from within the academic community, but ultimately owe their origin to overinflated expectations, much like the dot-com boom and bust in the 1990s, and illustrated the volatility of public confidence in the new technology. The first AI winter occurred around 1974 and was prompted largely by two setbacks. One of the setbacks was that despite the huge investment by the US government in developing instantaneous translation as part of its Cold War effort, which is clearly one of the main interests they had in the first place, the results did not live up to the hype. AI was quite capable of translating words, but only if in the correct order. When I was a schoolboy, there were jokes around in the playground about the impossibility of using machines to translate. And here are two examples. What happens when you translate the expression out of sight, out of mind into Russian and then back into English? You get the expression an invisible lunatic. Or indeed, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And that comes out as the vodka is good, but the meat is rotten. This the collapse in confidence in AI in the United States was matched also by a collapse of confidence in Europe. Professor James Lighthill in the UK issued a controversial report in 1973 where he noted that AI had failed to live up to its somewhat grandiose aspirations. The net result was a sudden loss of confidence in AI, leading to a drastic reduction in funding for AI research, a phenomenon that then rippled throughout the rest of Europe. In fact, there were in fact two major winters in the history of AI, and one could even look at the whole history of AI as being something like a roller coaster. Overinflated hype and then a consequent disappointment when AI research fails to live up to its expectations. Arguably, however, we are now in a kind of AI spring. There seems to be extraordinary investment in the world of AI, and it doesn't look as though we were going to face another AI winter, but we can't say for sure. The history of AI has been a history of a roller coaster performance.